What is the oldest recording that when played back is still understandable? A team of researchers went on a hunt, and in 2008,
in an archive in Paris, we discovered a group of recordings that had been made before anybody realized you could play sound recordings back. These were sound waves drawn onto sheets of paper, the idea being that people would be able to look at them and study sound, the same way that a seismograph would record an earthquake, with no idea that you would use a seismograph to play back an earthquake.
They were made by a proofreader and typographer named Edouard-Léon Scott de Martinville.
In the 1850s, one of the books he'd been assigned to proofread explained how the human ear works. He was really taken by this, and his idea was, maybe I could build an artificial ear. So he designed a sound collector. One end was open, so you could stick your head in there and then talk. The other end of it had a membrane stretched across it that was supposed to be an artificial eardrum, but it would vibrate as sounds entered this collector.
On that end, there was also a stylus that moved with the vibrations and trailed against a sheet of paper wrapped around the drum.
That sheet of paper was covered in the soot from an oil lamp, so that as a stylus would scratch it, it would be very easy for it to leave behind a trace.
This phonogram, as it was called, hadn't been played back until Dr. Feaster and his team made it possible.
The crank on this device was worked by hand, so the speed of recording was extremely irregular.
Lucky for us, Scott had thought about this.
And he recorded the vibrations of a tuning fork alongside the record of the voice. And the nice thing about a tuning fork is it always vibrates at exactly the same frequency. So if you study the tuning fork, you can see all of the speed irregularities that took place during recording. One particular night back in March of 2008, I spent all night going through every 5 cycles in this waveform to sit and remove these speed fluctuations. Then, as the sun was coming up the next day, I was able to listen to it. And it was recognizably a voice singing Au clair de la lune on April 9th, 1860. Later, it turned out we hadn't done it quite right.
As the team tackled more distorted recordings, they realized they had been playing Au clair de la lune faster than it was being sung. When they slowed it down, the recording sounded more like a man singing very slowly.
The way that people used to count vibrations of a tuning fork was different from the way we do it today. One motion this way and then a motion back this way. That whole thing is one vibration. They didn't count them that way back then. They considered this one vibration and this another vibration.
And so they corrected and released the new version of the oldest known recognizable recording.